good to take listings, but it's even better to sell. Right? So let's go and at Jamar last two. Other moment. Very good. Hey, just talk about earnest money because we have seen a lot of cancellations for some unknown reason to your broker. Some people are still struggling with getting earnest money. So look, we'll start from the beginning. This goes back to real estate 101, how we collect earnest money and what's the time frame like. Please don't leave me hanging. 4 days. You have 4 days to collect earnest money. How long does your broker have to deposit it? Thank you. In the past, we have another 4. So it could be a week or so. So if you have a buyer that writes a personal check and you collect it and it takes us 4 days to deposit it, don't come back the next day and say, hey, they decided no, and kind of check back to them. We're not going to do it. Just thought I'd share that with you. What's our best practice? Deposit, please. Okay, please. That's the best way. It goes in. If they cancel the one and back, it goes right back to their account. Deposit. What is deposit bank? Deposit bank is our tool. Depositbank.com. Create an account. Tie yourself to KW Westfield or on real estate grid.com. So it'll work. Any hard questions? We'll let you pick on Katie in front. Yes, for can be happy to walk the video as well. Right? All right. So
That's the one that works. Yeah.
So we're going to put, so the timing on that we talked about already. What if the buyer cancels? Okay. There's a couple of things that have to happen. So we have different cases. We can hold the money for their next contract. Sometimes buyers haven't given up yet. And so we'll hold it. We'll refund it back to them. And what's the process if we could? How do you request to get earnest money returned to the buyer? What's the step? It starts with the letter C. Yes, Katie in the back.
Do a comment on the opportunity command.
Yeah, do a comment to the opportunity command. Please make sure to tag your broker. I am the only one authorized to release earnest money. So you can vote normally all you want. She won't do it. Try to say yes. So please do that in command. Also, the timing piece of it. There were times I will get requests for earnest money and you can hold it to 3 months. And then, well, yeah, they canceled 3 months ago. Would you have let us know if you want that? Yeah, I know it's crazy. Sometimes what I'm seeing too, and this is, again, the process piece of it. If we're going to hold the earnest money, I should still release it or authorize it to be transferred to the next property. So if somebody cancels today and they're still looking for it, send me a note in the opportunity with all of your updated documents and tag me the at Dean Crandall. You add a comment to that opportunity, excuse me, and say, Dean, would you just approve it? We're going to hold the earnest money. That way, there's not a delay because what we've had is, if this delay, I had one why I canceled the agent, said lost opportunity. So we had an opportunity, created a new opportunity in command and said, well, yeah, there's this other one that we canceled off 2 months ago and we want it here. I can't find it. You already canceled that one opportunity. You say it's lost. We can't find it. And so I'm going to encourage you to learn how to use command and be happy to walk into that one app walk your TC through that if you're doing that. You should have one opportunity from beginning to end for your buyers, and you just add versions of contracts that you want to contract on. Anyway, we can talk about that later about this one. Make sure. Yeah, problem.
If you use a transaction coordinator, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any TC? You don't have to worry about one. Actually, the TCs have been a new CC. Please talk to me. All right. And then this came on yesterday in time. What constitutes helpless? Say that's not longer. It depends on the contract, but what is notice in general? Yeah, in writing and signed by the buyer. If you're given notice to cancel, this is a notice of cancellation, but if it's really cool document, we'll text message you it. Bold and signed by the buyer. So be careful on that. We had someone, not in our brokers, but in, our mortgage is seeking to collect earnest money from someone who's, it can't send me a text. I sent you a text. Yes, but section 18 of your contract says very specifically, must be in writing, must be received and acknowledged prior to the deadline. So if your deadline, what are those deadlines? It's almost 5 p.m. unless specified otherwise. Why is it almost 5? Anyway, kind of a big deal. Finally, disclosure and waiver document, it's in your every opportunity on the buy side. If you, for some reason, decide that you want to waive earnest money protections in the Rep C, you must have them sign an initial quote disclosure and waiver. So if we're going to have earnest money go non-refundable act of due diligence, and going to be signing that document. Back in the dark ages, people were throwing down non-refundable earnest money, doing all this other stuff. Therefore, we put the disclosure and waiver document in. We're starting to see some of those come up now. When there's multiple offers that say, hey, we want that from Borsman, the buyer needs to sign one of those. Because it's not our idea. That's going to be on the buyer. Unless you want to cover it. Yeah, Rob.
What if it's an unrepresented buyer that you organize?
There's no disclosure and waiver because they're not our client.
Yeah, but we don't have to worry about disclosure waiver.
No. You don't have to worry about disclosure and waiver if it's not your client. If it's your client, worry about it. Someone let's stand in the back. Make them sweat a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have. One is talk about earnest money. Pay attention and please be timely. It stinks that you're a buyer and you kind of want your money back. It's been 2 months, and there's only one of me and there's 300 of you. Yes.
Thanks, Dean. Good in that. So nice to have a rock star figure. Thank you, sir. So,
Nice.
here's the one thing you want to remember. What type of market are we in today? Well, trick question. It's a slow working market. Market full of opportunity. Full of opportunity. Love that. It's so true. Here's what you want to write down. We are in a skill-based market.
Yeah.
The agents who have not only the most skill set, but also the most options for their client are the ones that are winning right now. And that's really what the topic of today is going to be about. Also, what we talked about last week, seller financing. Now we're going to be talking about something called short sales, which how many of you were around back in the day when this was very prevalent? How many of you have no clue what a short sale is? And so what we're going to talk about is one of those solutions that you need to be aware of so you can navigate your clients through this moment. And we have two of the highest producing agents in the state that are going to walk us through this. I think Peter and Clay, you guys, I have what, 7 years of collective history in the real estate space. I'll be approaching somewhere around 30. One left?
23.
20, okay, so 4 years almost 40 years of history between these two. So we're excited to have them up, and we're going to have them tell their backstory, and they'll jump into short sales. Give them a hand.
Here's Clay wants the microphone now.
Who wants that? So Wayne mentioned this morning, how many short sales are on Waffle? Yeah, I mean, if you guys looked it up, you can jump on the MLS and you can search by listing type. I did it just in preparation for this because I swear last time I did it a couple of years ago and there were like 3 or 4, and as of today there were how many? 75. Good job. 75. And those are active items. And it's not including the agreed contract. Yeah. So I just got those pretty large one sale on Friday. So I did a short sale at the end of last year, and I did another one this year so far. Kind of surprised me that I'd have a short sale listing. But so I think the good points as we're chatting before this, that first thing who knows what a short sale is? Who wants to define it for us? Stand say it loud with a lammer. Yes, you know what short sale is. You define it. An owner
owes more than the property is worth, the bank will allow it to sell for sure.
Yeah.
Or a lesser amount.
And the bank wants to make two decisions to go through that process. What are it? Bank has to figure out two things. One,
Market value?
is the realtor getting market value for the house? Number two, is the seller justified? Is there any dollar increase?
They still want the seller to prove that they're behind and prove financial hardship.
And to prove that they are in hardship. Yes. In fact, this is something you actually write down. Part of the process is they have to fill out what's called an RMA, a request for mortgage assistance. So whether you're doing a modification, a forbearance, or a short sale, and the hardship has to be considered permanent, which means lasting 6 months or longer. If you put anything else other than that on the RMA, they're going to make them up to a modification or forbearance before they'll do a short sale. So on that request for mortgage assistance, Fannie Mae goes the same, or for something very similar, the hardship has to be permanent. So if they got laid off from their job and they haven't worked in 6 months, that's a permanent hardship. Or they got divorced or had a health issue, it's got to be permanent. And this is so important because I've heard a lot of times, I've heard this phrase multiple times. It raises an eyebrow. Who's heard of a strategic short sale?
Uh-oh.
You heard people, usually somewhat wealthy people, they will just strategically short sell this property. It's not a fate. Not a thing. They haven't proved that they're a hardship. And I've heard that term multiple times from people that literally have money. They all just short sell. Yes, ma'am.
They still have to show proof that they're behind on their mortgage payment. I know that was his thing at one point. Like they were behind like 1 or 2 payments.
Yeah, the banks typically want that. That's unlikely they'll approve a short sale if they're not delinquent. And if you are, they know. Believe me, they know. But you have to just say why. You know, you can't just be delinquent. And the way I like to describe it is, when you apply for the mortgage, you have to document that you were qualified. Going through a short sale, applying to no longer be eligible for the mortgage. They're going to want to see pay stubs, bank statement, tax returns to prove that you cannot make the mortgage payments. So it's like an unavailable mortgage in other terms. On the listing side, just envision yourself, you're headed to a listing appointment. If you arrive, you bring your CMA, start to go over the numbers. If they say, hey, time out, but there's not much we owe on the property, you find out, oh, shoot, they're upside down. That's kind of the setting we're in for it now. Maybe either what's the first question you ask when you kind of discover, oh, shoot, we're upside down. Where does that listing coming? The part of it is you don't want them to shoot the messenger. So I might say to them, hey, had you anticipated a specific value? And then they'll say, oh, I thought my home was worth X. You're like, well, actually, based on the data, here it all is. That's actually worth Y. What does that tell you? Oh, I'm upside down. I owe more. Okay. So if we sell your home, and you absolutely have to sell based on what you told me, we've got a couple of options. We can sell your home for $400, and you owe $450, and you have to bring that difference to the closing tables. You have the resources to do that. Or you can go to your lender and explain the fact that you got divorced 3 months ago and you're getting insufficient alimony, and and we can make a case for why we need to sell your home for less than a $7. So usually I'll tell people it's not just black and white. Every bank will negotiate different. I've had multiple short sales where we've gotten the approval, but that approval is still subject to the seller coming in with at least a partial payment. Where they, for your example, 50,000 and said, hey, we'll wait 30 of them, but not all 50. So you've got to come up with 20 grand and figure that out. Yeah. And then the one I got approved, I got it on Friday. It shocked me. And I've done over 100 short sales. The one I did on the approval I got on Friday blew me away. Appraised value $675. We've been on the market over 90 days. The only offer we got was for $510. Fair market is probably around $625. And the bank would ask their negotiator, American Funding Institute, what did it appraise for? She said $675. And I said, look, it's never going to get that offer. I've been on the market this long. She said, well, it's VA. They make the decision, not me. She sent it in, and I didn't hear, and I didn't hear, and I was going to call her, and in my email, got an approval letter at 5:10. Now, I know VA has criteria. They'll say, whatever it is, 84% of the appraised value. This is well below that threshold. And like the buyer was shocked, the seller was shocked, and I was shocked. And it takes a lot to surprise. How much was sold on? Well, this is the thing. He hasn't made payments in 18 months, and he owed $650. Because with VA, he didn't put any money down. And so $650 plus 18 months of payments, he's, well, what was it, $800,000 that he owes on that home.
800.
Yeah. And so any difference between 5 and
This near.
yeah, to give it all. Yes. I forgive him all the days.
I don't building their credit.
I will. There's no question. All those missed payments. Yeah. Well, there's two things that in the credit. Keep in mind, missed payments actually does the most damage to the score. And I've had a short sell where they actually never missed a payment, even though you heard the comment. Oftentimes, the bank will require payments to be missed in order to even open up the application, but not always. I've done one where he didn't do it. But also, I'll put my Dean Crandall hat on for a second. Don't ever tell a client, you should miss your payments. I think you can get that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
The
However,
correct.
there might be scenarios that, hey, the bank is suggesting that there might need to be missed payments in order for this to proceed. One line I've used many times is, hey, short sell is a tool that exists to help get back on your feet. Therefore, like, kind of like how you will, and oftentimes that means on.
Yeah, just to go along with that, though, I had to a former lender in Chile, that they have been scenarios where individuals have kept been perfect on their payments, but because they moved more than 50 miles or they had an extenuating circumstance and the market had shifted, they were actually able to get another loan, even without having to wait that period because they had a perfect payment credit, payment.
Because the second part of the denying your credit is just the log of, hey, you have done a short sell. Now that short sell, we're going to get into the weeds because I think this is important. You're sitting down with the seller. A successful short sell that sold, the bank will actually give you around the credit paid in full. Why? You see that, right? Yeah, they agreed to take less and end up paid in full. They agreed to pay less, and that is so important that it says paid in full, and then they're going to send your seller a 1099. So if you have wireless, they canceled that, so they get a 1099. Will they have to pay taxes on that money?
Yes.
Bob says yes. He knows.
No.
Talk to your CPA. Generally, it's no. It's no. At least it's debt.
So are you like, is there something like your seller? So your seller, are they the ones that need to like talk to the bank and go through all that? Or are you as
Not if you
the,
hired Clay.
well, so tell me what that looks
So
like.
the process is pretty straightforward. You have to get them to sign two things. One is a state-approved form called a short sale disclosure. And it basically explains to your clients what the short sale is and how it works, and that there might be delays in hearing back from the lenders. The other one is a third-party authorization. So next to the specific form, I have just like a Google Doc I created, and it authorizes me as the realtor to speak with their lender. It usually has their name, address, loan number, the length of my approval, like that, okay, this is good for 1 year, and I have access to all their financial information, and they sign it, dated, their socials on it, and we submit that to the lender. In the old days, it faxed in, in the old days, 2010. Now, most of you in funding, most of the banks are online portal. We just upload the documents, and then 48 hours later, you're in the system, and you can have that conversation with them. And then, so once you're uploaded as an authorized third party, you have to have that third party open every time you call the bank, because they're going to ask you, oh, who are you calling? Who are you calling about? What's the loan number? What's the last four of their social? And then they'll verify you, and then you can have the conversation. And you'll go from customer service to orientation to the short sale department. You'll get appointments. It's a laborious process. And every time you call, you might have to go through that phone tree to speak to the person to sign your file. And then near the end of the process, you get assigned a negotiator, and then that's your direct contact.
And most of them just do more back and forth at this point. Whereas historically, they didn't do that. But they are now. And then, like New American Funding, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they have specific hardship forms they want people to fill out. And that RMA is the request for mortgage assistance is what it's called. And once you get that negotiator, they want to know two things. Are you bringing them a good offer? And they're going to raise the house a couple of times, usually, to find out you've got them a good offer. And then do your sellers actually qualify to specialists? You mentioned this listing over 90 days. Is that some kind of standard norm? 90 days? I don't know. So it's interesting because I think the lenders want to know that it's been on the market a while. But in fact, in this one, they said, did you send them the best offer you got? That was kind of the mortgage of a lower reason for that, but they want to make sure they got the best offer. Because there was a game that was played in the last downturn where people would send the first offer or maybe their buddy's offer rather than the best offer. And that's because there's a little bit of loan fraud that's happening, I think, with respect to that in the past. And the bank's fallen on. And so, so-and-so was behind, we get his cousin to buy the house. So now things like in the approval letter that we're all warranted, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the arm's length transaction, and that this is the list of the you got a number of companies popped up when there's and it can very well happen in the next few months where short sale companies will come out and say, hey, homeowner, you're in trouble. We'll help navigate the whole short sale process. We'll get you out of that house. We might even kick you some cash, which there's so much like lines being crossed. And then they come in and they act almost like a producer, like they're listing these, but they never put on market. They would buy. At the end of the day, it's not going to be my ugly house. It's like a flipper, right? But they'll say, hey, we'll do all the short sale process for you. But they never do submit a higher offer. They just fight with the lowest possible. And one thing I've seen out of banks want to copy the MLS data sheets. They want to prove that it's been on MLS and they want to buy listing history. So that was part of the documents they wanted submitted.
In regard to that matter too, a lot of agents were, taking it off the market as soon as they got that first offer in, and they weren't accepting other offers because if another offer comes in, then the bank starts the process all over again, and it's a somewhat timely process for them to go through and make their decision. And so, there is some justification of not wanting to start all over again with another offer coming in, but at the same time, these guys were slamming the lowest thing on there just to see what the bank would come back with.
Do you think it's important to remember who you represent?
Yeah.
You represent the seller. You don't represent the bank. You don't represent the buyer. You represent the seller. So you have to do what's in your seller's best interest. And one of those things is to avoid a deficiency judgment, right? So you do need to try and send the best offer. But at the same time, if I've been offered in April and we've gone through the whole process, and now we get a marginally better offer in like a week before approval, I'm going to stick with the offer I have in hand as long as that buyer is fully committed, because that's in my seller's best interest. I'm not going to all of a sudden jump ship for the living kid in town, and we've gone through this whole process. I'm not starting over at that point.
Yeah, I mean, with the number have you done, did you ever run into the problem where the bank actually, you have an offer on the property and then the bank ends up selling it to some other investor or?
Yeah, I've had it happen where they're,
And the investor,
everything of the loan time, first during the process, absolutely.
the investor,
For the whole over.
well, I mean, you're out of luck. Your buyer's out of luck at that point because usually I had a lot where a lot of them would want to, do a forbearance or let's work out something, so they can keep their equity, and their objective was to keep the equity and keep them on the line and have them paying their mortgage forever and ever and ever. But it's frustrating here.
Yeah. And the lengthy process is nothing short of a short sale.
Is this paid in full that you talked about, is that the way that you protect your client to make sure that you're showing them that there is no...
Correct. The deficiency is satisfied. That's what I would consider like a successful mission accomplished. Not only did we sell the home, but the deficiency as that magical golden letter that says, we are satisfied in full. Yeah, and I want that 1099 because that's kind of the nail in the coffin. We're not, you're not taking time. The bank's not going to come knocking 6 months later and say, "You still owe us this money."
Yeah, if you read that short sale approval letter very careful, and if you don't understand it, have your broker read it or ask an attorney because it needs to contain some very specific verbiage, in my opinion. One, I don't know how often we have, but one other point, usually when people have to do a short sale, this is kind of a low point in their lives, right? I've never had someone excited to do a short sale. Usually there's been some kind of reverse to their lives financially. And I think there's a part of this that we need to remember. We have a responsibility to speak hope into their lives. And you need to put on your human hat, not just your realtor hat. This isn't just a transaction. And help them understand that this is just a blip on the radar. This is just a moment in time. Some of my best clients are people I did short sales for 50 years ago. They've subsequently bought another home, they bought an investment property, I've sold their kids a home. And because I treated them like a human being when we were selling in their short sale, and they're very loyal because you helped them through a hard time. So I think that's very, very important to remember.
You like buyer side real quick? Yeah. Okay, there's 75 active listings on the market. I assume majority in this room are going to come across one in the next 7 days. If you've got buyers right now, you're going to see one. So you see one. You'll notice on the MLS can show you I think 3 different statuses. So the first status will just say short sales subject to third-party approval. Who's the third party? Bank, right? They're the lender, and it's still subject to third-party approval. That means they are somewhere in that big long process. What's the fastest you've ever seen a short sale get done?
Maybe 6 days.
Maybe 6 days. My fastest is 90 days.
Yeah.
The longest one I've had was 39 months. Like 3.5 years of my career. I bought a house at Manning I sold for $112,000. So I got paid 2%. So I was like, no, it's like, it's a great deal. Please don't answer why though. For what you're comfortable with this thing. It's still a good context. So it takes a long time. So as a buyer, though, you see that on the MLS, and like, oh, it's still subject to third party. You've got to prompt your buyers, hey, this could be as fast as like a few weeks that they're toward the end, or it could be as long as 39 months. You just don't know. The next status is price approved, right?
Yeah.
Subject to third party approval, no price approved. That's a magical one. That's essentially saying, hey, they've already gone through the process, and the bank has made decision number 1 of, hey, if we approve the seller from being in a hardship, they qualify for this. And number 2, we've approved the price. And if the listing agent is advertising correctly, they should have that approved price as the list price. But convert that, they might not. It might be a different price. And that's entirely different. Those two steps.
And sometimes what it means is they went through the process with an offer, and the offer bailed on them right around the time the price got approved. Right? The bank isn't in the business of approving prices on hypothetical offers. Usually you only get to that place with an offer. So sometimes that's an awesome opportunity because they don't approve price, they know what the bank will think, but their offer bails because they don't want to wait.
Oftentimes you end up with multiple offers too. When I'm doing a short sale, my first buyer is usually an investor offer, could be just somebody in my own world just to get the ball rolling. But they're not going to see it through, especially when their offer to you, the approved price comes in here. When that approved price comes in, and then you announce to the world, if it's still a very attractive price, you could have multiple offers at that moment. So as a buyer's agent, don't be surprised if you're like, oh, it's been on the market for a year. Now all of a sudden they have multiple offers. What the heck? Oh, not what the heck. Probably just got approved. The price is awesome.
And is the bank locked in at that point?
No, let's still negotiate. If they can't get that price, then the realtor, the listing agent has so much power. They have all the control about short sales. So if the listing agent says, hey, banks, yeah, you approved this price. I've been hitting the payment now for 3 weeks. I cannot get you an offer at that. You might need to give it another haircut. And negotiator might say, all right, I'll get down another 20 grand. I'll get it approved.
So some of the things you can say to the listing agents to encourage them to take your offer is, hey, we're in this for the long haul. We're not going to bail on you before the approval comes. My client has all the time in the world. And so just let's stay in communication.
Okay, listing agent is, you've got a butter of them. And that listing agent is required. Any other questions? I think it's just
Offer under review.
for offer under review. Thank you. There's three. Yeah, it's subject to third party, offer under review, price approved. And you can I noticed today too, you can sort by status as well.
Tell them about the different forms they have to use with this short sale here.
So the standard reforms, there's the short sale disclosure. You use that with your buyer and with your seller, and that you should have as your listing agreements. And then there's a short sale addendum. So that short sale addendum is kind of a get out of jail free part for both the buyer and the seller. And normally when you go under contract with the seller can't get out, right? This basically says until we have written approval from the bank and we both accepted it, either party can cancel at any time. I'd underscore that. It's probably the only contract clause that I've seen in all of our documents that gives the seller an ability to cancel on a buyer. For any reason, too. For any reason, it's at their sole discretion. Yeah, short sale addendum, just like most things, if you want like a quick crash course on short sales, go read it. Just make sure you understand the use clause because our short sale addendum is very cool. It really does. Yeah, and so that short sale addendum is huge. And then once you have the written approval, there's a short sale acceptance addendum, which then says, because in the initial addendum it says, like your normal deadlines, due diligence, financing, appraisal, and settlement is number of days from approval. And so the short sale acceptance addendum, those dates down and references the short sale approval letters in Exhibit A, and that's the main part of the contract. So you take a short sale, list it for $1 on the MLS, I let it sit there for 6 months and see what happens. I joke, but that was happening a lot in recession. It was really interesting because they're like, well, we don't care what the price is until we have a nice approval to bank.
Yeah.
And go first.
They're not around anymore.
A lot of them aren't around anymore, but there are so many keys that can be played, and the list just has so much power.
Why? The funky new ones was the first time around, not short, not recently. And they had you can just be on a free list. It's got 12 other people in front of you. So I don't know if that was under the first one where it just trying to find out if it's ready to sell or where now with how people waiting in line.
The listing agents all do it however they want to do it, but I remember that too, where they do it you have to come in order. I think, at least I always have it the most. Now they'll have the first one submitted, and while they're just waiting to get paperwork in, they're just pooling the rest. And it's kind of once we make a little more progress, we might call for a highest and best, or we might hit the best. That's why you see underscoring your buyer station, that relationship matters. Regular check-ins, regular encouragement of, hey, when you get that approval, people are still here, we still want it. You want to do that often. It goes, and that's typically been my process as a listing agent. The first good offer I get goes to the bank, and that's what we start the process with. And anything that comes in after that, we just kind of sit on until we know what the bank's
We got it, even though it's wrong.
and I present all offers to my seller. The seller is the one you need to, you still have to present all offers to the seller. Because it's not about price. You remember some offers might say, hey, we'll let you stay in your house. We'll let you use, there's a lot more to it. Yes.
Pretty interesting.
And on the buy side, you're pretty much buying it as is. There's no seller disclosures. There's no.
You provide seller's disclosures. Always have my sellers provide seller's disclosures. But I will not do repairs on a short sale. My sellers are not obligated to do repairs. And you need to know that on the front end.
And the bank takes no responsibility for anything.
They don't own it. The owner's still on that.
Yeah.
Just a general question for you two.
Did
You go through a short sale process
at some point in your career and you made a misstep?
and once you realize you have no still you
I just didn't think about it.
those sort
learning
of
that might come to mind.
Tell us about your failures.
Well, every short sale is a learning experience because sometimes you just deal with one lender, sometimes you deal with first and second, sometimes it's a first, second, and an IRA slate. And a medical is the first. And then there's all kinds of things and you just how you juggle those things. I would say my missteps were almost always when there's multiple mortgages, dealing with how much is the first willing to achieve in your mortgage
and I will get them to accept what the first one to do. I've never getting this. I'll tell you, kind of along that line, one thing two things I learned early on. Number one, I ended up wasting so much time because I was so heavy on phone. Hopefully, and it's been 3 years now since I've done my last short sale. It's time consuming. So after my first several, I ended up hiring a third party service, especially through a title company. I can see our title companies getting on board when they provide a service for us to do the follow-up, just the constant squeaky wheel, checklist and the paperwork, getting it in. So like getting some help on it because it could be terrible time consuming when it's 3 years when I'm having a house for $112,000. And then the second thing is you won't always get it, but you can ask for more compensation than 3%. I think there's an argument to be made on a short sell. If it's us, they might not approve it. Because again, there's dollars aren't paying the commission that's coming out of the settlement statement, which the bank approves. And I say, hey, I charge 3%, but I also charge a $1,500 transaction fee for the short sale process. And sometimes banks, well, a lot of times banks will approve or consider some sort of a fee for that. They also could cut you down and say, we're not paying 2%. The other one I did then the last year was Utah Housing. And they did cut the commissions. They're like, hey, if we're getting this, you're not going to hold them. We got. Yeah.
Sometimes they'll pay the title company too if you're transferring to title.
Yeah, the owner's fault.
Then they get paid too. So
I'll do that. We don't have any leverage in negotiating those commission fees. Right? Yeah. Yeah. No, other than $9.80, it's not a real leverage. So yeah. Right. Yeah. Although this overall I got, there was no negotiation. Like they have some commission, they didn't have fun. So I mean, I remember short sales, you submit a closing statement, an estimated closing statement with the offer, showing them what the fees will be. And usually they want to negotiate on that. They don't negotiate on any of those items. See.
Do you think it's easier just for they're not trying to go online right now and you're not used to the system and they're just like, sure.
I wonder if some banks don't even have hiring coordinators.
It was a much smoother process than I remember before this go around. I'm just getting everything uploaded into the system. And they're like, you know, maybe the appraisal contact is. I'm like, I'm the listing agent. Who else would you call? So I literally had to write a 8% appraisal contact with my name and number on it and upload it. And then they called me to do the appraisal. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, while a third.
Yeah. And don't try to argue with them about how the big works. Just give it to them the way they want it.
Amen.
The banks did get a lot better from 2002 up till 2012.
Yeah.
So they got their process down. They're a little bit quicker at getting things handled.
Anything else?
I have a final comment. No other questions. And that is, we talk so much in this office about shifting, about one of the coolest things about your career, about being in real estate, is the fact that it ebbs and flows, it changes. There's no, one niche fits all. There's so many niches. But I would invite all of you, like 2 years ago, rates went up. The shift was the seller financing, treasure financing, working with lenders on 2-1 buy down and just mastering financing, right? The shift of the moment right now is this. It's people facing short sales. It's your buyers having the opportunity to pick up good deals, which could be in the form of a short sale. My invitation really is to embrace it. Don't run away from it. There could be more and more of these, and you can really help your clients source incredible deals. And then on the flip side, really be like the person that just blesses someone's life when they're in a pickle or they're in a hardship. And you're that person that comes in and says, hey, I'm going to get you out of the thumb of this big, nasty mortgage that's over your shoulders. And give you the relief you're looking for. It's magical. So jump right in. And you'll make a lot of money too. There are a lot of realtors, a lot of money in 2008 because they were short sale focused. Yeah. There was a tendency to avoid them. You see this short, it's like, oh, because there's stuff for you, I would just think, yeah. And you're free.